Chiron is moving into the sign of Taurus on June 19th, 2026. It has been in the sign of Aries since 2018, so this is a pretty major collective shift that we are going to be having over the next 8 years. Chiron will stay in the sign of Taurus until 2034. So we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot to discuss because what exactly is Chiron? Chiron is an asteroid. Chiron rules our woundings, our traumas, our fears. It is things that we keep hidden and underneath the surface. Chiron has been in the sign of Aries since 2018, and this has brought up themes of like independence, identity fears, problems with expressing yourself and your independence, your right to exist, your survival. These are all themes of Chiron in Aries. It can also bring up woundings around hyper independence, and as we've noticed in the collective over the last few years, there's been a lot more of a discourse and uprising between people who honestly feel like they can do it all themselves. There's been a lot of words thrown around narcissism as well. We've noticed that being a very big hype word lately in the mental health space. People are just throwing around narcissism like it's nothing, and that's definitely something that's associated with Aries. So with Chiron being in the sign of Aries, there's been a lot of woundings coming up to the surface when it has to do with your identity, how you express yourself, being selfish, being self-centered, how much is too much when it comes to caring about yourself versus other people. Now we're finally shifting. The script is shifting to Taurus. What does Taurus represent? It's our finances, it's our stability, it's our self-worth, it's also our food. It's what we consume. So these types of themes are going to be the ones that are going to be highlighted and triggered over the next couple years up until 2034. Does this necessarily mean that there's going to be a recession? It's not the only aspect that can indicate a recession. There are other aspects that also are currently happening that indicate a recession. But it definitely brings up fears, woundings, insecurity when it comes to finances and our stability and our self-worth and how we make money. So, as we can see on a collective scale, this has already been happening. It's not something new, it's not something that it's going to catch people off guard. People have been talking about this for a while, and everyone's kind of been waiting like for the shoe to drop. When is it? When is the stock market going to crash? When is it going to collapse? Because it definitely feels or seems like we're getting to that point, especially with AI and the AI bubble. And the reason why I feel like AI is going to be a major part of this is because as Chiron enters into the sign of Taurus, it will immediately start making, it's already doing it, but it's going to reach an exact point of making a square with Pluto in the sign of Aquarius, which a lot of astrologers have linked to advancements in AI. We will also have eclipses happening with Leo and Aquarius this year, which will also start it won't start this year, it will be more so in 2027 that it will make squares to this Chiron in Taurus, and it will also be very close to this Pluto. So I do feel like this AI revolution, this AI tech, this AI bubble is going to reach a point in either it collapses the current economy, it collapses the current way that our systems are run, financial systems are run, or it's going to completely shift the landscape in which our finances are currently handled. We've already seen it, the job layoffs, people getting replaced by AI. This will reach a point where there is now scarcity. There is now people who feel like they cannot afford to live because their jobs have been replaced by AI. So I do feel like this AI discourse is going to be a major part in this Chiron in Aries, especially when it comes to the finances and the monetary side. Another major point about this Chiron in the sign of Taurus is our physical health. it's going to start leaning more towards more natural methods, because Taurus is definitely more so living with the earth, more organic, trying to be more in tune with your body, doing more like regenerative farming, caring more about the food. I do feel like all of these things that are coming up with the peptides like GLP-1s and Ozempic, all of this is going to create some major issues with this Chiron in Taurus. I would not be surprised if within the years that Chiron is in Taurus, something happens or something comes up that changes the way that we view health and we view our bodies, how we source our food, and how it affects us. The discourse around that is going to be very prominent. There's going to be a lot more people who are fighting for more natural and organic foods, trying to go back to our roots, trying to heal the earth as well, because once again, Taurus rules all things earth. Taurus is a fixed earth sign. It is the most earthy of earths. The most earthy of earth signs. So it wants to connect back to the earth. It wants to make sure that the earth is healthy and supporting us as humans. Like, it needs to be a co-creative, symbiotic relationship rather than a purely extractive relationship that we currently have with the earth and its resources. So that's going to be coming up a lot more so in the public discourse over the next 7 to 8 years with Chiron in Taurus. Another thing is Chiron in Aries was very much like go, 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 hustle, hustle, don't need to rest, fuck your emotions, follow the plan. However, Chiron in Taurus is asking us to slow down. Once again, Taurus is the earthiest of earth signs. It is very slow moving energy. It's about reconnecting with your body, how tapping into how it is that you feel, and changing your idea that you're only worthy if you're productive. You're only worthy if you're working. You're only worthy if you're burnt out because of how much you worked. That's Aries energy. Aries energy is like, let's go, all the energy, push, 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 don't care about your emotions, keep going. Taurus is like, wait, wait. Because with all of these issues happening in the financial sector, and people starting to realize that, and starting to come from this place of like scarcity, feeling like there's not enough, feeling like they have to figure it out. It doesn't matter how much you work, it doesn't matter how much effort you put in, your job could get easily replaced by AI. A lot of people are gonna start shifting the way that they view their worth and their value. If your worth was tied to how much production you were able to put out, by how much you were able to push through despite your emotions, that's going to start coming into question now, because you're going to start realizing this AI can do your job without ever breaking a sweat. And so people are going to start thinking like, well, if I can't produce, if my entire self-worth and self-concept was tied to how much I can produce and how much I can make, and that's no longer a thing anymore, then where does my worth actually come from? What is my purpose here, right? It can definitely bring a lot of instability and a lot of mental health issues with all of these systems that are collapsing and coming into question. Chiron in Taurus is teaching us that your pleasure is not shallow, that beauty and peace can actually be medicine. Now, this obviously does take a lot of work to get to that point, especially if you've been running and operating off of this capitalistic structure where your worth in the society is directly tied to your productivity and your output. That is completely changing with Chiron and Taurus. You're going to have to start doing some internal work and understanding, where does your worth stem from if it's not from work and if it's not from production. Let's very quickly go over how this may be affecting you and your specific chart based off of where Taurus lies in your chart. So if you don't already know how to find out what house Taurus is in your chart, I recommend go on any astrology website. Do not use AI. Do not use AI. Do not use AI. AI is very bad at creating charts and placements in the chart. It always gets it wrong. It always gets it wrong. Do not use AI to look up your chart. Go to either astro.com, AstroSeek, Astro Charts. I will leave the links down below. put your birth details into one of those websites, and it will spit out your chart and it will let you know what house Taurus falls into your chart. I personally use whole sign houses. It makes it easier. So I'm going to go over the rising sign based off of whole sign house systems. So let's start off with, if you have Taurus in the first house, chances are you are a Taurus rising. Chiron moving into your first house. This is going to be interesting. This is a deep healing of this is a deep healing of your identity, of your body, of the way you show up into the world. So, very much Taurus placements, especially if you have Taurus rising, everything that I talked about in the introduction is going to be applicable to you. A lot of your feelings of self-worth, of your identity being tied to work, is suddenly going to be called up into question. And you're going to change your identity, or hopefully heal some of these woundings that you have with your identity, in which you thought that you're only lovable, you're only worthy if you're working, if you're productive, if you're not being lazy. Over these next few years, a lot of the judgments that you may have carried over your body and your body image and how you present yourself into the world, that's going to be called up into question so that you can heal them and you can show up from a place of true loving authenticity. You're learning to respect your body. You're learning to heal your body. If you have any type of ailments, that's really going to start coming up over the next few years so that you can heal them and understand your body better, making sure that you're eating organic foods, you're eating very clean foods, and you're nourishing your body in the best way that you can so that you can show up in the best way possible. And not only do you show up in the best way possible, but you also feel better from the inside out. Now, if you are an Aries rising or you have Taurus in the second house, this is very similar to, once again, what I was talking about in the introduction, because the second house has to do with your finances. It has to do with your money. It has to do with your self-worth. And so a lot of the financial insecurity, a lot of the financial instability wounds is going to be highlighted for you. Undercharging, debt, scarcity, feeling unsupported when it comes to your finances is going to be a big theme for you the next couple years. But it's teaching you how to create systems that honor your self-worth, because it's not just about how do I make more money? It's, do I even feel worthy of making more money? It is trying to heal these deep self-worth wounds that you may have when it comes to money, or it may just be on an identity level. You do not feel that you are worthy of better things, of more luxurious items, of a better life deep down inside, like on a subconscious level. Because yeah, it's easy to be like, of course I would want like a nice house, a nice car, and all these things. But deep down inside, do you feel worthy of it? Do you feel like you're good enough for that? Do you feel like someone like you can achieve that? Or do you feel like that's not for someone like you? Those are the types of wounds that are going to start coming up. And I highly suggest to do some inner work relating to these types of themes, because this transit can either be very difficult because you continue to hold on to these wounds, which continue to repeat and reflect these circumstances in your life that just reflect more scarcity, reflect more like, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy of good things, I'm not worthy of a good life, or all the things that I want to achieve. Or are you reflecting back to you, I am worthy, I know I deserve more, I'm worthy of more, and I am going to get more. So doing that self-worth, doing that self-reflection over these next few years is going to really help heal those money wounds and any feelings of insecurity or income scarcity. Now, if Taurus is in your third house, chances are you are a Pisces rising. And the third house has to do with your voice. It also has to do with like your local environment, your siblings, the people around you in your community. So there could be a lot of healing when it comes to your voice and how you express yourself, how you communicate. You may have felt in the past that you couldn't communicate fully and authentically. You were scared to use your voice because you didn't want to feel misunderstood. You didn't want to be silenced or dismissed. Maybe that has happened to you in the past where people made fun of you for just speaking up. Maybe just talking and trying to make friends in the past and it didn't go well and people made fun of you. Maybe you had a certain way of speaking, maybe you have a stutter, maybe you have a lisp. That is going to start coming up so that you can heal it, because there may be some fear or blockage in your throat about expressing your truth. There can also be, healing that comes around your local environment and your community. Maybe siblings or neighbors can bring up certain feelings of insecurity or scarcity, this Chiron in the third house transit is going to help you heal these wounds. So I definitely recommend doing some inner work on working on your self-expression and clearing those blocks within your throat so you feel more confident to express yourself and feeling like your voice matters and what you have to say matters and is worthy to be heard by other people. If you have Taurus in the fourth house, chances are you are an Aquarius rising. The fourth house has to do with your home and family life. It is your stability and security and your emotional safety. So a lot of this work that's going to be coming up with Chiron and Taurus in your fourth house is healing any type of scarcity wounds that you have around family dynamics. You could realize that there are certain patterns that you inherited from your family that are keeping you trapped or limited financially. There could have been also maybe unstable living situations in your past, or maybe currently showing up with this Chiron in Taurus transit, which is helping you heal through that and also understand what kind of environment, what kind of home and family life would be ideal for me, what feels safe for me, what feels expansive for me, instead of what is limiting, what is restrictive, what feels like you're not allowed to feel safe in your home. You're moving away from that and moving into a pattern of more safety, more stability, more security in your home and in your finances. So the work that I would suggest to you, the inner work, is looking through the past familial patterns. What has your family dealt with in the past? What have you possibly inherited? What ideas, what thought structures, what belief systems have you inherited from them that may be keeping you stuck or in a box that you're ready to grow out of? These next 7 to 8 years are going to bring up those feelings of insecurity or instability when it comes to home and family. And it's up to you, of course, to work through this energy and heal through that once and for all. If you have Taurus in the fifth house, chances are you are a Capricorn rising. The fifth house has to do with our pleasure, joy, creativity. It also has to do with children and healing the inner child. You could have a lot of blocks surrounding feeling your joy, feeling your creativity, being able to express yourself, or even show up in a way that's childlike, right? Because especially being a Capricorn rising, you're very much like needing to be the mature one, needing to always have everything structured and ready, put together. It's almost like it's difficult for you to finally let that guard down and to just be creative, be joyful, have fun without feeling some sort of guilt or remorse for it. With Chiron moving into your fifth house, there's going to be a lot of woundings that come up in terms of that. So, the inner work that I would suggest for you is to look at your relationship with fun. Look at your relationship with taking a few days off and just doing nothing, or doing something that brings you joy and pleasure. It doesn't have to deal with actually being productive or moving the needle or making money. I understand that as a Capricorn rising, you always want to make sure that you're either making money or you're being productive. But with Chiron moving in your fifth house, is asking you to re-examine your relationship with fun and play, joy, and romance. And if you've been neglecting those areas of your life, there's going to be feeling like a void in your soul and in your body, because your inner child is crying out to be seen and to be played with. You've been pushing her or him to the side, being like, no, we need to work, no, we need to put our head down, no, we need to make sure that we're doing things. But with Chiron in the sign of Taurus, it's changing up the financial system. It's changing up the way that we make money and the way that we see our self-worth. So being able to change that for yourself and realize that I am still worthy even if I decide to take a day off. I am still worthy even if I do some silly goose activities on the weekends because I want to have fun. I want to express myself. So making sure that your relationship with fun is something that you're prioritizing or healing with this Chiron in Taurus transit. There can also be issues coming up if you have children or if you've been trying to have children, because once again, Chiron is our woundings, and the fifth house being about children, there could be some issues that come up when it comes to children or conceiving a child. I do feel like a lot of this could be healed through in terms of being able to tap into your own inner child, and healing that relationship with your own inner child can then open up your energy field to have children if that is something that you wish to do. But yeah, your inner work is mainly to talk to your inner child, heal the inner child within you, do things that bring you fun, pleasure, and joy, and analyzing how that relationship is with yourself. If you have Taurus in the 6th house, chances are you are Sagittarius rising. The 6th house has to do with our health, our work, our daily routines. Chiron being in the 6th house can definitely bring up health issues. If you haven't been minding your health, you've just been eating whatever, you haven't been really taking care of yourself, if you've been taking, exogenous substances that you don't really know the side effects for, that can all start coming to a head within the next 7 to 8 years with Chiron moving into the sign of Taurus in your 6th house. Because once again, the 6th house has all to do with your health and your body and your well-being and your daily habits. So if that stuff isn't aligned with the values of Taurus, which is very much about aligning with the earth, making sure that you're eating organic, making sure that you're eating whole foods, also inviting pleasure and play into your day-to-day life, because Taurus likes to take things slow, likes to take things easy. It does like to work, but it also values its rest days. So if you've been pushing, and you haven't taken a single breath or to stop to rest, especially as a Sagittarius rising, you have all this fiery energy. It's like go, 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 go. Taurus moving in, Chiron moving into your 6th house is asking you to slow down. It's like, hold on, wait a minute. Your body can only handle so much, especially if you're not feeding it the proper food, you're not exercising properly, you're not resting properly. There's only so much you can handle. And so making sure that you're doing the inner work and reevaluating your daily routines. Are you taking enough rest? Are you making sure that you're getting your exercise? All of these things, aligning your values and your day-to-day habits to these more Taurus idealistic values, will help you move through this energy a lot easier. Now, if Taurus is in your 7th house, then chances are you are a Scorpio rising. The 7th house has to do with marriage partnerships and relationships, like long-term relationships. It could also be like business partnerships as well. So this is going to be healing a lot of issues that you may have been dealing in terms of your relationships. If you've been dealing with a lot of feelings of insecurity when it comes to your relationships, feeling like you aren't being seen, you aren't being valued in your relationships. However, it's bringing up the opportunity to heal through these patterns so that you do not continue to repeat them. Wounds around abandonment, betrayal, unequal effort, codependency, all of these issues can surface over the next 7 to 8 years with this transit. You are going to become a lot more clear on what a healthy relationship looks like to you, which is going to be more of the Taurus values, which is loyalty, consistency, actually being there for the other person, reciprocity. These are going to be major themes that show up, and I would recommend the inner work that you do as we start entering into this transit is to analyze your current relationships and analyze the relationships that you had in the past as well, and seeing how maybe they haven't had these ideals. How is it that you've been overextending yourself or even neglecting yourself for the sake of love? How is it that your current relationships are structured where maybe you're giving, but there hasn't been much receiving? Because Taurus is very receptive. It's a feminine energy. It's a feminine earth sign. It's all about receiving, right? So making sure that your partnerships are equal give and take, not one-sided. Now, if you have Taurus in the 8th house, chances are you are a Libra rising. The 8th house is a little bit more of a hidden house. It has more to do with your partner's finances because it is the 2nd house from the 7th house, which is marriage and partnership. So it has to do with other people's money. It has to do with debt and inheritances. It also has to do with like deep psychological wounds and traumas. So Chiron moving through your 8th house can definitely bring up and unearth some deeper wounds that you may have kept under the surface for a long time, but are slowly and surely running your life in the background. There could be a lot of triggers or traumas that come up associated with other people's money, where you feel like you cannot trust other people who give you money, or people who have given you other money in the past have created problems for you. You could receive, money from other people, but it could lead to some sort of issue or some sort of problem later on down the line. So this definitely ties into like trust and being able to trust other people. So any betrayal trauma that you may have experienced in the past is definitely going to come up now to be healed with this Chiron in Taurus. And there's going to be themes teaching you how to trust other people, and where have you been giving your trust maybe a little too easily or too freely, because as a Libra rising, we already know sometimes the people-pleasing tendencies can be there, and doing things just to make other people happy. Meanwhile, you're getting screwed over. So you're going to start really coming into some lessons on making sure you have those boundaries with other people, making sure you're not so overly trusting, making sure that you're protecting yourself when it comes to receiving finances or help from other people, making sure that you're creating energetic boundaries, understanding what boundaries are, because that's one thing that Libra sometimes can struggle with, is boundaries. Having boundaries and enforcing those boundaries and being firm on those boundaries, that's going to be a big lesson with this Chiron in Taurus transit in your 8th house. Now, if Taurus is in your 9th house, chances are you are a Virgo rising. The 9th house has all to do with higher education, long distance travel, your belief systems, your faith. It has to do with things like religions and just exploring and expanding your worldview. So you can definitely begin to start questioning your old belief systems when it comes to like success and money, especially because it's in the sign of Taurus. You can also go through some major healing when it comes to like if you had any type of religious trauma or any trauma when it comes to traveling as well, or like issues with teachers or educators, because those are all 9th house themes. Any old belief systems or spiritual ideas that you've had in the past are going to start being called into question with this Chiron moving into the sign of Taurus. You're going to start searching for something that feels more aligned with who you are and your new idea of self-worth and your idea of what success looks like. Because one of the things that's coming up is like the manifestation spaces, for example. There's a lot of people in the manifestation community who use a lot of like shameful rhetoric or like are not trauma informed, and they like to say that everything in your reality is created by you, and that can be very harmful for people, especially like, are you going to tell a child who has experienced trauma that they created that reality? No. Like, they didn't create that. That wasn't something necessarily that they manifested. And so making sure that the worldviews and the systems that you're taking on and that you're listening to during these next few years are some that are informed by trauma and aren't putting so much shame and blame onto yourself, because then that hurts your own self-worth. And if your self-worth is shot because of these belief systems, then you're not going to be able to find that success and manifest the great things that you're wanting to manifest in the first place, right? So making sure that the belief systems and the teachers and the people that you follow within the next 7 to 8 years are people who understand the nuance that comes with living in this life. If you have Taurus in the 10th house, chances are you are a Leo rising. And the 10th house has to do with your professional and career life. It has to do with your reputation, your public image, your ambition, and your long-term success. So Chiron moving into this house is definitely going to bring up some trauma, some wounding, some things that need to be healed before you can reach that level of success that you're looking for. There may be some fears or some blocks in the way of how you perceive yourself and whether or not you feel like you're worthy for that success, whether or not you feel like you're worthy for that recognition. Being able to work through these fears, these insecurities that you have prior or during this Chiron in Taurus is going to help you reach that level of success. But this transit is showing you that there are certain blocks, there are certain fears getting in the way of you reaching that next level. And it's up to you to be able to work through them so that you can get there. This can also bring up wounds of tying your worth too much to achievement. And so also making sure that you're not putting so much of your energy and your effort and your self-worth and who you are on whether or not you're actually achieving these professional goals. Because if you're not in the right environment, if the people around you who are able to give you these promotions or able to see the value that you bring aren't necessarily doing so, they're judging you based off of other metrics that aren't reflective of your true worth and your true value, or they're just simply putting you down and they aren't seeing the type of value that you bring to the company or professionally, it's going to break down your self-esteem and it's going to break down your worth simply because you're not in the right spaces or you're not in the right environment. So making sure that you're putting yourself in the right rooms, that you're cutting off connections with people or environments that aren't supportive of your growth, that they aren't seeing the value that you bring, and you aren't overstaying your welcome in these places because it could just be that is getting in the way of you reaching that next level and that next stage. And also realizing that the end goal of life isn't just professional career success, because that's one of the wounds that also comes up with Chiron and Taurus in the 10th house, is placing way too much importance on that and being really upset or feeling down on yourself simply because it's not happening. Now, if Taurus is in your 11th house, chances are you are a Cancer rising, and the 11th house has to do with your friendships, it has to do with your networks, it has to do with the people around you and the connections that you make. It also has to do with your hopes, your dreams, and your aspirations. So there could be some traumas, wounds that come up in terms of your friendships, your social circles, feeling like you don't belong, feeling like you're excluded, comparing yourself to others, feeling unsupported by the people around you, feeling like the people around you don't necessarily see your vision. A lot of these themes are going to be coming up to the surface now with Chiron moving into Taurus to be healed. There may be issues when it comes to like public validation, feeling like people aren't truly recognizing you and seeing you for the things that you bring. So making sure that you're not overstaying your welcome in these spaces, in these communities. If someone has made it clear and someone's made it known that they don't really like you or they don't really accept you in the group, then you don't need to stay there. You don't need to keep pushing. You don't need to keep proving yourself. You don't need to keep proving your worth to people who don't want to see it. Like, if you need to ask somebody, like, hey, do you even like me? Hey, do you even want me? And they can't even give you a straight answer because they're scared of hurting your feelings and they say, oh yeah, sometimes. Don't stay there. Don't fucking stay there, girl. Please don't do that, or boy. Go where you're wanted, go where you're respected, go where people value you. So that is the main theme for Chiron moving into the sign of Taurus in your 11th house, is making sure that you are going where you are valued and people see your vision for the future. People don't look at your hopes and dreams and laugh at them. People see that in you and they're like, oh yeah, definitely. And actually, I think you could dream a little bit bigger. You want to be in those kinds of spaces. And finally, if you have Taurus in the 12th house, that means you probably are a Gemini rising. The 12th house is a hidden house. It has to do with loss, solitude, hidden enemies, grief, spiritual wounds. It's also like spiritual awakenings and spiritual enlightenment. So it can definitely bring a period of isolation. It can bring a period of deep mental health healing. The 12th house has to do, once again, isolation, but like mental health institutions, psych wards, prisons as well. So there could be a lot of healing that comes through these spaces, or if you have been in these spaces in the past and has created some sort of trauma within you, this Chiron transit moving through your 12th house can definitely bring up those themes again so that you can finally heal them. This is definitely going to be a transit for you. I'm not going to say it's going to be easy, because the 12th house transits through the 12th house are never easy. I've gone through quite a bit of them, and they usually do bring up a lot of, mental health issues. So making sure that you do have a therapist, making sure you have people around you, because that's one of the biggest things with 12th house transits is isolating yourself, feeling like you don't belong, feeling like no one cares about you, feeling like you don't have anybody. So trying to find places, even if it's paying a therapist, even if it's trying to make new friends and going out in more like spiritual spaces, would be more beneficial. People who do have more of an openness and understanding, because there's going to be a lot of emotional turmoil that comes with this transit, feelings of not being worthy, of feeling like you're not good enough, feeling like scarcity when it comes to community. are going to be coming up to the forefront for you guys. And it may even be that through isolation, doing like a retreat, like a spiritual retreat, could bring a lot of healing for you during these next 7 to 8 years. Taking some time to, yes, spend some time alone in isolation to work through these problems, but within a certain community or a container would be the best, so that you don't completely lose yourself and spiral into the more darker feelings that Chiron in the 12th house can bring. So yeah, that is Chiron in Taurus through all the 12 houses. Let me know if you have any questions down below. Of course, if you would like to book a personal reading with me, I do have the link down below as well. You can find it on my website. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.